Okay, it's time to continue the age-old tradition of going over the winners' games for my weekly Swiss. We had our second week in a row, and that's great. Invite your friends. Hopefully, you win and get one of these videos made about you. So we have PB Foster versus I Win Easy Dubs. Mr. PB Foster won the tournament, 3.5 out of 4. We have a Scandinavian defense. Very standard development. This bishop really belongs here, and I'll show you why. After knight to d5, we'd really like this bishop preventing the pin because of this threat. Knight takes c3, b takes, queen takes c3, forking everything. That's why our bishop likes to be on d2 to also x-ray that queen. But we find with queen d2 we actually have this very forcing series of lines. Someone's outside, moving fast. We have this forcing series of lines where we go into this queenless middle game. White does his best to try and get the structure, evened out, fixing the double pawns. But we get this interesting position where we can make a pawn storm here and try to trap this bishop. There are lines here that are very interesting, like rook b1, b6. Let's see. You know what? I take it back. We ended up doing something like this, just in a different order. Let me show you. There were lines earlier where you push f4. Let's see, like here, f4, and you try to trap this guy with g4, etc. But we pretty much got there in a roundabout way. Knight takes, opens up the file. That's going to be important for the endgame. And there's rook b1, as discussed. b6, saving the pawn. White has the bishop pair. White's happy here. And we have simple attack and defense here. I was surprised here at this point because black is threatening to take the bishop pair. And instead of moving away, like bishop to f3, the pawn comes forward. I would take the bishop here and eliminate that advantage. Instead, we got knight hitting these two weaknesses. I think the easiest thing to do would go back to d2, but we actually traded off the piece, which is interesting because generally when you have the bishop pair, you don't want to give it away for nothing. And I think we could have held on to it for longer, but that's okay. So here, black hits the weakness on c3. We defend it with the rook, which is kind of awkward, to be honest. But I suppose this is not great either, because then the bishop comes out and we get a lot of counterplay here. So okay, rook c3, rook b3 rather, e6, and over to b1 with the other rook. And what you find here is that white wants to launch forward, create weaknesses, and black is kind of playing on the king side. So really clamping down on those dark squares with f6, rerouting the bishop, possibly going to trade, but white keeps hitting those weaknesses, black keeps defending them. It's a very even game. We're launching towards an end game here. If I had to say, it would probably be a rook and pawn endgame at some point, and well, we're going to see that. Black does not take on account of rook to b7 being awkward. So rook to the center, over protecting the pawn, allowing the king to move. Great. Takes, and an f4 break. I like it. It makes sense. But here come the pawns. Bishop takes, g5. So really clamping down on those dark squares, not allowing that bishop to have much in the way of usefulness. And here we see an assault on h2. And this can be kind of concerning with moves like bishop to c7. Setting up a tactic, and black actually misses it. So g5 falls, and with it, the f4 and h4 squares, unfortunately for him. Defending, moving back. Okay, launching that pass pawn. That could be significant if it's allowed to advance anymore. The king is safe here, king g6. We find that this king is actually very active. If h4 is allowed to happen, we're going to have some issues. Obviously not now, but in the future with king g3 and h4, especially with this file here, with this rank rather, there's going to be some issues. So rook doubles, and the weaknesses are hit. The weaknesses are defended. Cause and effect. White guarding that passed pawn, very good. And, well, never mind the passed pawn. Black wins the pawn back. Here's our rook and pawn endgame. And unfortunately here, for white, this is going to be an issue, and this guy's going to be an issue. And we'll see that in a second. Best move here is to actually double because of the pressure here that we have. Turns out after this, king g3, we're good. This is the best course of action for, oh, excuse me. This is the best course of action. King f4, rather. Not wanting to lose h2. Moving on. Instead, rook to a2 defending. And here's where it gets interesting, because the real threat here, see, this doesn't apply much anymore because this pawn falls. This pawn is the key to this working because we're controlling these two vital squares, f5 and h5. This is less of a threat if the king can just hide. And what black needs to understand here is this is not the pawn you want. It's this pawn. This pawn is holding together white's position. You have to take this pawn. So the correct way forward was rook takes g4, attacking every single thing, forking everything. I mean, where do you go? If you go anywhere here, we can take with check. If if back, I like this move personally because these guys are on their way, and our king is safe in the event of rook to g7 check. We're nice and safe, if that makes sense. White's position falls apart. Unfortunately for black, he chose the wrong pawn, and the reason this works for white is we see that eval bar jump is the king can come up and defend that g4 pawn, which is the key to his position. And now there's no more rook takes g4 check, and no more rook takes d4, and now this guy's going to go back to h8, and a move like h4 is just terrifying. And we actually get the rook in first. That's fine. h4 is coming. Should be on the way. Here, h4, just terrible threats. We want to move up here and give checkmate. So what do you do here? You have to play f5, and g5 check is gross. King h5, the only move, and you end up, trading off in favor for white, right, with the passers. So bad time for black there, but we don't see that, not quite yet. Anyways, we see the rook back hitting the e6 pawn, which is logical, but we just have to recognize the threat here. Check, and the king is actually quite safe up there. Check, takes with check, takes. Now we're in draw territory, right? And unfortunately for black, white has 57 seconds on the clock. I know you can't see it, but I'm just telling you. White has 57 seconds. You really just got to keep giving those checks, man. Like, that's the mistake of the game, right? The mistake that gives up the game. You have to keep giving checks. You can't trade. Why? Why not? Well, after this, and a move like king takes, we're marching, I mean, you might think, okay, I have a passer, and that's what black thought, but unfortunately it just runs into mate in 2. So see if you can find it. g5 check, king h5, there it is. White didn't see that, but it's there, and that's the important thing. White played rook a6 check, king g7, and try to stop the pawn, which is solid, because if he can stop the pawn, he's got 2 passers and active king, so we're just going to win. Check. This is more accurate here, king e4. We're just going to win the pawn. But okay, I get it. Guarding your own pawn. Perhaps concerned about something like this. Fair. So, King F4. And we're just going to win the pawn, man. I mean, H4, and there's no problems. We go on a little longer here, but the game's over. And I'll just show you the end real quickly. Well, mate in 1. There you go. That's the first game. Both players played very well. There were chances on both sides. Stay tuned for game 2. See you in a minute. Okay, this is the second video. We have PB Foster with black, Karazix with white. We have a ready gambit, and this is a crazy game. All right, I would not recommend bishop e6. I'd recommend d4 or e6. But we have bishop e6. And some standard ready moves here. Very surprising, defending the bishop, taking with the queen. This kind of allows an interesting line here. g5. I wonder if that was planned or spur of the moment. Knight e1. Really weird. Really weird. Attacking the queen. And, oh, mate in 1 threat. Let's take with check and defend it. Good call. Okay. Queen a4, thematic. Very good. And here we see the idea. Attacking the weak c6 pawn. The king is going to go over and defend. This is fine. Rook e1. We'd really love to develop that bishop. Maybe get him onto b2. Long term, that might be great. Let's kick the knight. Back we go. Kick the knight again. And hey, danger levels like Levy Rosman loves. We attack the queen. And offer a trade. Well, you know what? I'd take that trade. Would you take that trade? Or what is it? I'd take that deal. Would you take that deal? I'd take that deal, right? So let's take it. And the knight is misplaced. Why is the knight misplaced? Well, there's no out. There's no way out. So what black has to do is defend f7 and trap the knight. We get sort of a variation of this, but it's delayed. f4 first, trying to be saving grace here. Bishop c5 check, king f1 takes, and this saves the game for white. e5. Okay, making room for that knight. And again, brilliant move here. Not quite brilliant, very good move, e6. Okay, takes with the rook with check. And the king has to come here to defend f7. And play d3, get the bishop out, and have a good game. Fortunately, king goes to d8. That just allows the fork. And white is up. And no matter what, here white is up. We trade a bit and prepare for a crazy endgame. d4 should be played here. I know it's strange, but if takes, we just win this pawn, and we're happy, right? So instead we have a4, cracking open the position, takes, and ouch. So let's pause a second, because this is not good. We need a forcing move. What we need is rook to e6 check. Unfortunately, he does not see it, and this evens the game out. Rook to e4, okay? And both players at this point down to 1 minute and 1:42, respectively. So, takes. And regardless of this tactic here, it's not going to do it, because the rook comes up. And what we find is that this move b4 just completely shuts down the dark square bishop, which is tough, because black has this move here, rook to a7, and that's tough. This is taken, right? And if we go back, we have rook to a1, followed by rook to e1, the only way to defend. And look, this is a dark square bishop. We can double attack that guy. You got to be able to see that, but it's hard because it's a minute left. It's like a blitz game, man. So let's see it. The bishop comes back, the rook comes down, the rook comes down, and you know, a move like this would be in order here, hitting both here. rook d1, even a move like bishop b2, takes, you know, it's not good. What do you do? I mean, what do you do? So moving back to the game here, bishop e5. I mean, you take mine, I'll take yours. Unfortunately, though, these guys are juicy targets. I have two connected pawns here. Isolated, 2 versus 3. It's tough. You know, rook to c2 is it's pretty brutal. You need king f1 to defend everything, but yeah, it's not fun. Rook to d2 and having a bad time. King e2, and rook is hitting the b2 pawn, or the h2 pawn rather. You take mine, I'll take yours. It's basically what's going on here. Takes, and takes. So, connected, not quite connected passers. Here's our passed pawn, and here's our passed pawn. Not great. Not great for white. There are some interesting tactics here. I'm not going to go completely into it, but we see the pawns advancing, and this actually evens the game out, and I'll show you why. We need a move like f3 check, which is crazy. After takes, we just take, and black is preventing white from stopping these pawns. That's just true. If king to e3, we have the crazy move rook f4. If takes, then we push and we promote. Crazy. Let's go back. This evens it out because let's see, because white can play king to d2 and sort of straddle these two threats, and now the rook can come in and help. More of an even shot here. Rook d5, best move. Rook h8 has to be played, and if b2, well, I mean, you really want to go after it, but I think we're just kind of having a hard time here because we can't stop that now. So you have to watch b1 like this, right? King c5. And instead of losing this, you have to run. Instead of taking here, rather. Because now we're gone. Like it's not going to happen. This is too powerful. And bad times, man. Rook f5, and we're just, what do, you know? King d2. Well, you don't want to push now. That kills it because of king e2. You'd have to bring the king in, and you have this threat to worry about now too. Check. It's very tough. This guy's coming in. We got to go back to watch this. It's brutal, man. Nobody's getting all this with a minute left, but I went way too deep. Sorry. Rook h8. King a5. Very strange move. Very strange move. I don't understand that move because you really need to centralize your king. King c5, you know? Excuse me. Misclick. King c5. And yeah, life goes on. You got to watch both threats and more of the same tactics as before. You know, b2, king c2, and you can come here and then you can go defend this guy if you want, but very tough. Okay, rook h8, king a5, very strange, very strange. Going after the pawn, and notice the king's blocked out, but it doesn't really matter. We have this idea again, f3 check. for the same reasons. If here, then f2 is fascinating. King takes f2. Rook takes d3, defending the pawn. Ugh. Gross. What does black play instead? King a4. And drawing chances with king d2 again. Watching both pawns. Very, very tough. h6. Hoping, praying. Rook back. Getting scared. King d2 again. Goes towards a draw. And we have it this time. Rook h7. King c3. Going towards a draw. Should be a draw. f3. And rook takes. Rook takes. This is absolutely a draw now, pending any mistakes. Stand by, because we have 11 seconds for black and 1 minute 15 for white. So it's tough, man. Okay, here's the mistake. All right, mate in 1 on the board. Spot it. Okay, white not taking his time. That's it. d4, gave up mate in 1. And black sees it, gets out of mate in 1. King d3, hoping, praying. And now king c4 loses the game. Because after, for instance, this and that and that, the opposition. You just can't, there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing there for white. Rook back, and again, we can't do that, obviously. We're probably going to get a series of checks and the king moving in, and bad time, right? Check. Okay. Notice the pawn. White knows he can't give this up, right? So trying his very best. It's just not happening though. We got to watch the promotion. We got to guard d4. It's very, very difficult. And here's the finale, and we have heartbreak. So again, mate in 1 was on the board. Very tough. Let's move on to the last 2 games. All right, here's the third game, PB Foster versus Study Hard, Win Hard. The rating is similar. So we have a hyperextended dragon. That's a joke. It's a hyper-accelerated dragon with this interesting move order here, and c5. So very very interesting. Takes. Black allows white this beautiful center. a6. I think you need d6 here or d5 to contest the center, but a6. That's okay. That's a Sicilian idea, but with a move like d5 here, not having a good time already. You have to come in here, and that's not what we're going for with our Sicilian. We're just getting bullied. Big center. And awkward pawn moves attacking here, right? We can't take because this does not this does not spark joy. So let's go back. Okay. Instead, we have development, which is great. Simple development towards the center. Bishop e3, d6, queen d2, with this idea here to get rid of that bishop once the knight moves. Knight f6, normal moves. a3, very cautious. I would expect, bishop to e2, d5, bishop c4. It moves like this, bishop e2, but okay. a3. In comes the knight, and well, snap, snap. I wouldn't have taken that way. I would have taken with the queen, getting all my pawns in order, but I think he wants to use that open file. And we see the first big mistake by white with d5. Now, it worked before, but now not quite as strong. Not quite as strong. We actually have this idea here to kind of try and hide in b3. After a move like rook b1, well, we're stopping the threat. Knight b3 anyways, we're going to hide on c5 now, potentially. You know, queen walks back, even queen b6, you know, hitting that, defending is very interesting, but not going to get too deep in there. d5, okay. Knight e5 and bishop e2. Castles? Castles. Okay. Rook to the semi-open file. Very good. Very good. Knight d4, very good move. Best move, in fact. And a dance of knights ensues. Takes, takes. Very oddly placed rook. So we attack it. And it'd be nice to double up, but the queen is still in the back rank. So the rook falls back. And very attractive en passant there. Awkward pawns in the center. Controlling some key squares, but awkward for the endgame, in my opinion. So, what to do? What's the idea? Just a second. Hi. What's the idea? I mean, you want to utilize this open file. You'd like to maybe reroute some knights. I'm not really intent on white's plan here. Black's got the bishop pair. These two center pawns are nice. It's, you know, it's anyone's game. And I certainly don't know about taking like that, but okay. I think black can easily contest this file with rook e1 and queen takes, you know, once that trade is made. Okay. Big mistake. This guy is very weak, and it's kind of holding everything together, unfortunately. We have to just drop back and defend. Just like that. To drop back and defend. And, you know, accept this, this pawn being taken. And go into this kind of an endgame here. A pawn up for white, but you know, we're surviving. These are awkward. These are awkward. It's probably a draw. It's probably a draw. So, unfortunately, the queen coming forward, it just doesn't work because we're trapped, man. Like, what a bummer, you know? I mean, yeah, that's a bummer. So we bring the bishop out, you know, and takes, and unfortunately, I mean, you know, white's just up a whole piece. So the game falls apart, you know? I mean, what else can you say? You can win some pawns here, but that's a lot of material, man. We got some more moves here, but after that fork and the simplification, white is just dominant. Taking all the pawns, you know. This is a glimmer of hope in white's position, but it's just not tenable, unfortunately. Once the king gets active, yeah, that's pretty much it. And maybe if white makes a mistake, there's a draw here, but see, you just move the knight and you create zugzwang for black, and yeah, sorry, that's kind of a short one, but it's late. So let's move on to the last game. All right, we have the last game here. PB Foster with black pieces, more chess with the white pieces. I guess I'll do it from black's perspective this time. Okay, we have a very, very standard excuse me, let me open this up again. We have a very, very standard kind of Italian here, with two knights, and everything opens up and we get this weird line. I guess I'll do it from black's perspective. The reason it's a weird line is because you're generally supposed to just take here. But black plays it kind of like a Budapest gambit, but it's not a Budapest gambit. It doesn't work. Like, this doesn't work. What you should do is just keep taking and say thank you for the development, and there's no threats here, you know? So, you know, you're just up a pawn as white is the thing. And even without castling, you're just getting all this development, and you just go into this a pawn up. So that's why I would say it's a little strange. Pawn takes and knight g4, hoping to regain the pawn. White probably sees ghosts, castles, and again, strange, because you would think, let's use this guy, right? He's already on a good square. Let's get the awkward knight out of there. No matter. White saves the bishop. We liquidate a bit here, and another strange decision, because really what you'd like to do here is play bishop e7, and if takes, you just come back and you're fine. Perhaps he was worried about this, but you're fine. Like, you're okay. So takes, and the queen comes out. So white does not want the trade. I think it's just a very boring game, to be honest. Not a terrible, horrible, awful, bad tactical game, just like we're trading everything, you know. So I think white probably just wanted a little more action, so he keeps queen on the board, which is fine. Either way is fine, to be honest. Knight c3, and you see that eval bar is heavily towards white. And the reason is because knight d5, and that just blows open the position. And hoping to God for the queen trade. It's accepted, but look, I mean, it's just, you got forked on c7, so white is ahead. White is ahead here. And another strange move, I don't get it. But, okay, we've been playing chess for 2 hours at this point, long night. I start playing bad moves after 30 minutes, let alone 2 hours. So, you know, we're 3-0 at this point. Whatever, he's doing pretty good. We're going to see how this one turns. So white is attacking all the weaknesses. Black's defending best they can. Very nice tactic here. Liquidating. And the heartbreak of the evening, I watched it live. F4 check. Takes by the king. And the rook is 1. So, ouch. It's a draw with proper play, but I'm not drawing this. I'm not expecting anyone to draw this. That's the truth. This is rough. How do you draw this? Let's talk about it. I mean, before, just start going, man. Like, you know, takes, takes on c2 is always a threat if this guy moves, so like, he's glued there. So, you know, you take here, and bishop b3 holds everything together for now. If the king goes over to get this guy, a4, stopping him. It's very tough. King comes back. I mean, b5. Awkward. Okay, we hit the pawn. King g5 looks really bad because it takes, but you can take on h5, or you can hide on h4, which is just so weird. But this holds it together for now. But it's just so gross. Like, who wants to play this? Like, I don't want to play that. But the idea is you give up the bishop at some point for the extra pawn, and you give up the extra pawns for the rook at some point if you have them connected. This game's crazy, man. But let's go to the actual game. So king g6, h4, takes. It looks like the right move, but it's not. You have to play king g5, And that's hard to see. That's really hard to see because of takes. It's really hard to see. This is the best move in the position, and you can't take it. That's why it's the best move. It's a crazy sacrifice. You have to play here. Chess is hard, man. I mean, let's just look at that again. You have to find king g5, and black has to find rook takes g3. Yeah, disgusting, right? I mean, takes or this, either way, because look. Get out of here, okay? But instead, this just gives it up completely, and the idea is clear, and it's just a loss. Until why I love chess, until this moment, because now it's not a loss. So very up and down. Eval bar getting a workout. If you're still watching, thanks. I didn't look at this game ahead of time. This is off the cuff. I'm sorry. What do we need to do to win this? Rook g2. You have to find rook g2. You have to find rook g2. Ain't nobody finding rook g2. If you take, you lose. If you don't take, you lose. So king h6 is the best move. Rook takes, and ridiculous. Chess is ridiculous. Okay. takes, and now it's a draw. Now it's a draw, and the reason is because we can trade everything off. And how insulting. Not any of these guys to anyone else or to each other, just chess is insulting when this happens, where you're like, I gotta pass pawn. It's like, no you don't. Haha, gotcha. Ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. I certainly did. Keep conscious.